TV show. We're going to stick around with the Sunday TV shows, and this next one happened to be a awesome episode, answering a lot of questions, but yet giving us more questions. Why are you doing this to us? Oh, you devils over at Once Upon a Time, what are you doing to us? Very, very, very interesting thought about Once Upon a Time. A very interesting thought that they're giving us upon thinking how two of the greatest mysteries, two of the world's most elusive treasures, I should say, and making them one item. Now, one of which we've seen in plenty of movies. We've all read about it in a little book called the Bible or the New Testament. But I never ever thought to making this object a different object, just forged differently. I never thought to do this, but apparently the writers of Once Upon a Time were brilliant in catching this. And that is Excalibur, the sword that is pulled from the stone by King Arthur, as prophesied by Merlin, was forged by none other than the Holy Grail. I'll let that sink in for a second, but it seems like they're going in a kind of religious route, but not necessarily. I mean, I don't know. It's a little weird. I gotta say, it's a little weird. It's a little off-putting that Disney and ABC are kind of pulling this religious type of thing. I do like how one object is like the other object. Erebus Vision, thank you so much for following. Thank you so much for following. Wow, welcome to the stream. I hope you're enjoying yourself. We find out a lot about Merlin. This is basically like Merlin's tell-all episode. Erebus with the hype emoticon. Thank you so much. This episode tells us a lot about Merlin, who's a character who's been in a shroud of mystery the entire season so far. And we got to meet him in last week's episode, but Sunday's episode, we got to hear and we got to see all of the things like fillers, like answering most of the questions in which we were asking ourselves and asking the writers about Merlin. Now, how did Merlin get his powers? Well, I'll tell you. I will tell you. I will feed you, baby bird. The Holy Grail. I mean, it's so simple. It's exactly like Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. No, not Raiders of the Lost Ark. The Last Crusade. Wow. Senior moment. I'm sorry. It's exactly like Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. You drink from the Holy Grail, you become immortal. And ABC and Disney take it one step further and say, and you also become like the most powerful person in the world. That's just, only if you drink from the Holy Grail. So Merlin becomes this lucky contestant in Come On Down and Drink from the Holy Grail. So Merlin becomes the most powerful wizard of all time. And coming with that, he's a man. Men have certain feelings that need to be fulfilled, that can't be fulfilled from just helping any old person. And that is love. Love conquers all. Love is what saves people and what gets them all excited and Ugh. Um, Merlin falls in love with a woman named Nimue. His first love, because when you're immortal, one of your basic rules should be never fall in love, because you're immortal, but your significant other isn't. So your significant other is going to get old and crotchety and eventually, do the ultimate thing and die. Stupid, right? You should just be immortal like me. Why do you have to die? That's stupid. So anyway, Merlin's never loved until he's met Nimue. And Merlin is just completely head over heels for her and will do anything for her, including help Nimue maybe possibly become immortal, or take away his immortality so that he can live out his days with the one he loves. Now that sounds cool. So you get to live through eternity with the one you love, or die with the one you love. It's a pretty big trade-off. However, yeah, some things can happen, some things cannot happen. So that's what's going on with that story. For now. Back in Camelot, the Wondrous Crew are still working out ways to help Merlin take the darkness out of Emma before she completely succumbs to it and becomes the full Dark Swan that we all want to see. Because for some reason she is the Dark One back in Storybrooke, but in Camelot she is still the little Miss Dowdy Pants, Emma Swan. So we find out that Merlin needs to forge the full Excalibur. Take the Dark One dagger, take half of Excalibur that King Arthur is pretty much hoarding, you silly man. Put them together to form the full Excalibur, and then only then can Merlin take his powers with Excalibur's powers and bring the darkness out of Emma and forever destroy it. Sounds like an easy plan, right? Oh, wait, when you're forging two metallic objects together, you need fire. But when you're forging the world's most powerful weapon ever, you're going to need a special kind of fire. What special kind of fire is that, Dave, the new nerd? Oh, I'll tell you. It's a spark from the Promethean flame. Or Promethean something. Again, a bit of a religious sort of metaphor. Right? Metaphor? Yeah, sure. Why not? I'm right. It's my show. I'm right. So Merlin pulls Emma aside and says, you have to go with me in order for us to get Excalibur to come back together. And in order to... The one person who has possession of this spark that we need is the first ever Dark One. Now, we knew in a previous episode that this first ever Dark One is the same person or same evil entity. I like that better. Same evil entity that apparently killed Merlin's first love, who we now know is this woman Nimue, and entrapped Merlin in a tree for years and years and years and years and years. So not only is Merlin, he's kind of scared because he's been stuck in a tree. Pretty sure the Dark One wasn't visiting the tree while he was stuck in it and stuff like that. And now he's taking Emma, who is prophesized to be the kind of like the Anakin Skywalker of the Star Wars universe. She is so powerful that she is supposed to bring balance to the dark and light, or as us Star Wars people like to do it, the prophecy says he will bring balance to the Force. Well, maybe. So Merlin tells Emma that there's one of two options. A, she can defeat the Dark One and get this spark, and they can continue on their mission to getting the darkness out of her. Or she fails and kills Merlin, and then becomes the Dark One. I mean, it seems like an easy decision. Like, don't kill the dude that's going to help you, right? But when you've been using a bit of your magic and you have Rumpelstiltskin laughing in your mind and telling you to do evil things, it's a little harder. It's a little harder to want to be the good person. I get it. You know, you got a little taste of that badness. We're going back to that Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3 where it's just like, I'm bad. I am bad. Here comes my emo haircut. I'm doing bad things because I can. That kind of thing is coming out. So they embark on this mission, and we rewind it back many, many, many years to Merlin's first mission with Nimue. And they return back to the village in which Nimue first came from. And oh wow. And I'm sorry. And we find that the flame that they are searching for is in Nimue's village. Well, she's devastated because some man came and killed her family and killed the village and destroyed everything. And it's just bad. It's just completely bad. And she's upset. So while Merlin's distracted, she takes the Holy Grail, which is in her bag. She drinks from it. But we don't know that. We don't know that. We don't see it, so we don't know it. And the man who destroyed Nimue's life before she met Merlin comes again and attacks them because he wants the sword. He wants Excalibur. He wants the power. And kills Nimue for it. How unfortunate. How unfortunate. And in unfortunate terms of events, we find out Nimue did drink from the Holy Grail. And she's now just as powerful as Merlin. And she proceeds to rip out this masked dude's heart. I think his name is Vortigern. Sounds like Voldemort. There's a little crossover there for you guys. I see what you're doing, Disney. So there's now this fight between good and evil as Merlin tries to help Nimue steer clear of her bad ways and tries to tell her, listen, being this powerful, you can do good things. You don't have to kill the man. For if you were to kill the man with your immortality in place after drinking from the Holy Grail, you will become the yin to Merlin's yang. And she crushes the heart, man. She just kills the dude. Like, doesn't even think twice. Just gone. And thus, the first Dark One arises. Now, I have to say, I wasn't too surprised to discover that she was the first Dark One. Only because it's been done plenty of times before in movies and other TV shows, where a character sits there and says, well, so-and-so killed my first love, or killed my love. And you find out, like, a couple episodes later that his love is the reason why. His love is the one that killed it. It's actually exactly like Anakin Skywalker and Darth Vader. In Star Wars A New Hope, in episode 4, Ben Kenobi tells Luke Skywalker that Vader became powerful and struck down Luke Skywalker's father, Anakin. We find out later in a couple of other movies called Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi that wasn't necessarily exactly how it went. What happened was Anakin Skywalker became so consumed with the dark side that he turned into Darth Vader. Thus, his change from one to the other, becoming Darth Vader, and thus killing the person we all know as Anakin Skywalker. So that's one of the bigger... So that's how I kind of saw this whole Nimue is the first Dark One, thus killing Nimue. It's just like a whole battle of personalities, and that's how it was going. That's where I kind of saw it going with that. Now, back to Camelot times, while Emma and Merlin are on their journey to confronting the Dark One / Nimue to get this spark, it's up to the rest of the team to go get Excalibur from King Arthur. Now, they decide to put their trust in someone who has been silenced for pretty much the entire season and was magically handcuffed. So, of course, let's listen to the one person who takes every chance to screw over everybody else. I wonder who that could be. Who would be that wicked? Oh, right, Zelena. Zelena decides to... Zelena mentions of an escape route that she was kind of planning to get away from the group while they weren't looking. So she decides to use this escape route as a secret entrance to get into Camelot, thus confusing and maybe surprising King Arthur so that the group can get Excalibur and then they could forge the swords together and Merlin can do his thing with Emma. Well, Merlin and Emma confront Nimue and the first Dark One. And in a wonderful, wonderful battle of talking, Emma is able to get the spark from Nimue and thus being successful without killing Merlin, which is completely successful. So now, as Merlin and Emma are headed back to go meet the group, Zelena kinda ambushes everyone. Completely free of her magic, she ties up Mary Margaret, aka Snow White, and decides to take matters into her own hands, along with the aid of King Arthur, who is using reading to help make a spell in which turning Excalibur into basically a bigger version of the Dark One dagger. So now Merlin's name is written on Excalibur. So now any powers that the Dark One dagger has, the Excalibur has the same thing, only it's just it's now used to only summon and basically be the short leash of Merlin. I mean, I feel bad for Merlin. You have the most powerful wizard going up against pretty much everybody else, and Emma has no idea what happened. So now we fast forward towards the ending, and Emma has everything now. She has Excalibur. It's out of the stone thanks to Mr. Gold. You hero. What a great hero you are, pulling the sword out of the stone. I mean, I guess he had no choice, but hey, we do crazy things for love. We do crazy things for love. So she forges everything together, but as she's forging it and as she's being pulled by the dark side and the light side, she remembers being a kid at the movie theater and Merlin coming up to her and saying, "Don't pull the sword from the stone. Leave Excalibur alone." But she puts Excalibur together, and at the very end, she's just holding the sword up. And she's just showing how powerful she is. Now, hopefully, we have yet to see what turns Emma from Emma Swan to Dark Swan, because she has not killed yet. And according to the prophecy of Merlin and the Holy Grail, it is up to it like, if you have the power, if you have magical powers, if you kill someone, you automatically turn dark. Regina is kind of the exception to it, because she's trying to be nicer and trying to be better. Not too sure if she killed anyone. I don't know if she killed anyone. Oh no, she has. She's crushed a couple hearts in her time, but she's really trying to come around. So we'll see what happens. Zelina, you're still wicked. Still love you, but King Arthur, you're still the worst. Still the worst. Now you're just doubly the worst. Like you're killing me. You are killing me, sir. Yeah. So once upon a time, we have more questions than answers. Hopefully within the next 2 episodes, we'll find out more. Again, a lot of the shows that I talk about are going on to winter breaks, but don't worry. I'm putting a list together of other shows to talk about while we're in our winter break. And also, there's the shows that are on during this winter time. I mean, there's specials. There's the tree lighting ceremony at Rockefeller Center. I'll talk about that. Why not? It's a tree lighting ceremony. Look, they turn the lights on. Wonderful. So yeah, Once Upon a Time, it's doing well. I thought it was a great episode. Again, I was able to predict the whole Nimue thing, but that's only because I love Star Wars so much that that I, kind of saw it coming, because I've seen the movies like a bajillion times. But yeah, another great episode of Once Upon a Time. Solid season, absolutely solid season. I really think it's just because it's mostly because Emma Swan is really, and I mean really, like digging this whole being Dark One thing, because she's more confident, and it makes for a better character. I mean, she got through the first 4 seasons being kind of like the questionable, like, I don't know. However, with this newfound machismo, or however you say it, she is doing a terrific job. I think she's doing an absolutely terrific job. So yeah, that's Once Upon a Time for you. It's doing great this season, and I can't wait to see the new cast, the new casting that they announced about like 2 weeks ago or something like that. It's a devilishly good time, they said. So I love when they do stuff. It's like a little play on words with everything. So that's our Sunday shows, The Walking Dead and Once Upon a Time. Good stuff. Good, absolutely good stuff. Let's get on to our Monday show. We got 2 of them. 2 Monday shows. Wow. Now, I said at the beginning of tonight's episode, I said that couple of the shows that were like kind of plateauing, they stepped it up a bit, but then there was a show that I was really digging, and I really did not I liked the episode, but it really didn't like capture me all that much. And that show, I hate to say this because I've been raving about it and I've been hyping the craziness out of the show, is Gotham. Gotham this week kind of kind of did the whole like plateau thing, and I was a little taken back by it, but I mean, it's TV. Not every show has to be like wowie wow 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 the whole time. But a big event did happen in Gotham. I just thought it would be bigger than it actually was. This week, Barbara Keane was finally activated. The sleeper cell in Theo Gallivan's little squad and Tabitha's squad, gotta mention her because she's a partner in the whole thing, was finally released. And her job, which we all knew because he was kind of telling her the whole time, like, this is what you have to do. He was telling her that you are going to have to kill Gotham's White Knight. No, ladies and gentlemen, it is not Harvey Dent. This is not the Dark Knight series. This is Gotham. The White Knight of Gotham right now is Detective Jim Gordon. So we see a messed up dream that Barbara has at the beginning of the episode, in which she is imagining her wedding, and she was envisioning it, and she was like, it felt real, until of course the man officiating the wedding was none other than Penguin, who, not for nothing, I'm in the middle of planning my own wedding right now, and Penguin, I'm sorry, but I can't. I think you're great and everything. You're doing well as a kingpin. You're doing well as a lackey for Theo and for Carmine Falcone. But I'm sorry, you cannot be the officiate at my wedding. I'm sorry to say that, but it's just I'm sorry, Penguin, but yeah. So Barbara has this whole big thing, and now she's ready. I mean, she's been ready the whole time, but she's pretty much good to go with the whole killing Jim Gordon thing. Goes into the prison, turns herself in, and Gordon sees this as an opportunity to bring down Theo Gallivan, because we now know that Penguin and Butch pointed their fingers at Theo, saying he's the one that's been disturbing Gotham. He's going to bring Gotham down only to be the savior himself. He's not the man that everybody thinks he is. And they got Gordon just hook, line, and sinker. I mean, they got him good. And it's sad, but he's going after it. So I think, I would too. I don't know how I would feel in that situation. My police gut would say, listen, I'm going to take every lead that I need to clean up this city. And his tactics are a little off-putting, especially to his girlfriend Leslie. I mean, how would you feel if you're watching an interrogation and your current boyfriend just decides to start making out with his ex-girlfriend, saying that he loves her? Now, I know, I'm sitting there and I know that this is a scare tactic to try and gain trust, to make her love her and all that kind of stuff, but it's just kind of not really working out for me. But anyway, Barbara succumbs to Jim's wishes and sends him off to hunt down Theo Gallivan, in a sorts. However, Gordon is not an idiot, and they know they're going right into a trap. Hopefully they're prepared, but, not really. tale as old as time. That's all I got to say about that. It's just tale as old as time when it comes to that kind of stuff. You know there's going to be an ambush. You know there's going to be that Tabitha or someone better than the police force is going to strike and come out on top. It's just a matter of time. And guess what? Everything happens the way it does. Gordon gets kidnapped by Barbara and Tabitha and is brought to the church where Barbara and Gordon were supposed to get married. Now remember, Barbara and Gordon are supposed to get married. She's supposed to be Barbara Gordon. She has her wedding dress. She is all set to go. And, you know, the Bullock, Jim's mentor and Jim's partner, figures everything out, gets it all together, and they're able to divert the whole situation. Gordon gets out alive. They even get some good intel on where the mayor is. So thank God they found the mayor. Everything is good. Now, there's one person missing from this whole thing, and that's Theo Gallivan himself. Where is Theo? Well, he's making sure that his plan to bring down Bruce Wayne and Wayne Enterprises is going into motion. He lets Bruce know, and he has been letting Bruce know, how bad Wayne Enterprises is doing. It tells him that business mistakes have been happening. The company is getting into some shady sort of antics, testing on people and dealings in chemicals and all this kind of all these kind of things that you don't want to hear about your father's company, your father's legacy doing. So he says, listen, as becoming mayor and as being the man that I want to be and the man that I'm going to be, I will buy your shares of Wayne Enterprises. I will take control of Wayne Enterprises, steer it back onto the straight path, and I will help save Wayne Enterprises and save Gotham at the same time. And Bruce is like, I know I'm young, but I got this. I think I could take care of this. And then Theo throws another bone into the contract. Theo goes, well, guess what? I'll also tell you who killed your parents. So now Bruce is like, where do I sign? Where do I sign? The age-old mystery of Bruce Wayne is about to be unmasked, to be revealed. Any of those other synonyms that you could find for those two words, it's about to go down. The only thing that Bruce has to do is sign on the dotted line. And as he's about to, after finding the mayor in an empty warehouse, he tells him Theo Gallivan is behind all of this. Gordon busts through the door. Bruce says, no way, Jose, to selling the company. And at the same moment, Theo takes the evidence that he has about Bruce's parents and into the trash it goes. Into the fire, actually, not just the trash, because, I'm pretty sure Bruce, in his desperate state, would go into the garbage. I know I would. But a fire, no, he's not going into the fire. Not at all. Not at all. So Bruce gets upset, as anybody would, and blames Gordon because Gordon messed up the whole thing. If you hadn't come and done all this stupid stuff, you wouldn't be... Whatever. So, Theo Gallivan is now in custody, and Sad times for Gotham. Sad times for Gotham. Now, another one of our beautiful, wonderful characters, one of our villains, Mr. Edward Nygma, is having a rather rough night, rough day. Having killed and finding Miss Kringle's body, thanks to his alter Nygma personality, he now has the unpleasant duty of disposing of Miss Kringle. It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. And of course, he can't hire it out. He has to do it on his own. So he's going to do it, but he's just not having the best of times. He's in a remote forest. He digs a hole. And as he's about to just throw his problems into the hole, he's discovered by a hunter. I mean, you can't catch a break. So, kills the hunter. Because why not? I mean, already killed your love. Everybody else is pretty much second to that, right? Right. Then, as he's going to get tools to take care of the hunter's lifeless body, he notices that a piece of his food is missing. And it has probably the best line of the night. He sits there and goes, for a remote forest, this is quite a busy area. And I thought that was hilarious because the guy can't catch a break. All he's trying to do is dispose of a body. I mean, did the Iceman have this much of a hard time? Did John Wayne Gacy have this much of a hard time? Did Jeffrey Dahmer have this much of a hard time? Because right now, Edward Nygma is having a terrible time just trying to get rid of anything that implicates him into killing Miss Kringle. So, the end of the episode, he goes, I mean, now he's got another person to worry about, or a bear, or any sort of other animal that comes through the woods or the forest. So, what does he decide to do? He decides to, how do I put this lightly? He decides to go hunt them down. And on his hunt, he discovers a trailer. And upon going into the trailer, he stumbles into an injured, via gunshot from the end of last week's episode, Penguin. And Penguin enlists him to help him with his injury and to help him stay alive and feed him and all that. So hopefully we'll get to see the villains' alliance come together. I'm hoping so. I mean, it's Rise of the Villains. So now two of our villains are going to come together. And I'm sure if the Riddler were to tell Penguin what he did to Miss Kringle, Penguin will just be like, oh, well, I've killed like plenty of thousands of people. I mean, come on. That's nothing. That's nothing. So that was like talking about the funny line of the night, what my favorite line of the night. However, my oh my God moment of the night was, hey, what's going on? Was Barbara Keane falling. I sat there because Barbara and Gordon were fighting in the church after Bullock and the task force came in and disrupted the whole wedding. I mean, how rude is that? But came in with a rather good purpose to take care of all that. But as they're fighting, she gets knocked off the roof, and Gordon is telling her, hold on, you want to hold on to everything. And unfortunately, she lets go and says, nope, and falls. I sat there and went, no, she can't be, because we all know, or if you don't know, I'll throw this up, I'll throw it up. As we know, Barbara is eventually supposed to marry Jim Gordon and become Barbara Gordon. Babs, right? Right? That's the Barbara Gordon, right? So as I'm watching that, I go completely crazy, and I'm like, no, don't do it. Don't. Apparently, and I did notice it as she was falling, but I didn't think that they would mention it. They had bushes underneath her, and they mentioned the fact that these bushes did break her fall, so that she did not die. She's just severely hurt, so we might not see her, maybe, perhaps. So, but that is just the sad telling. And again, the episode did have Gotham's episode did have a lot going on. It did, but unfortunately, it just didn't seem as exciting as it could have been. All these weeks, we just kept hearing Barbara Keane ask Theo Gallivan, when can I do my thing? When can I do my thing? And Theo was like, soon. And then all of a sudden he says, okay, now. And it's so anticlimactic, in which it's just, you're sitting there and like, come on, Barbara, you could do better than that. And like make it a bit more exciting. Here you are trying to be this whole psychopath, and maybe that's what they were trying to go for. They were trying to show off that she's not really a psychopath, that she just thinks she is. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, well, I'm the best speller in the world. I'm the best speller in the world. And you go to a spelling bee and you lose in the first round, but you keep telling yourself that I'm the best speller in the world. It's one of those things where you just you keep saying to yourself that you are a psychopath, you are a psychopath, you are a psychopath, and nothing comes of it. I think maybe that's what they were trying to go with. But it was just a very anticlimactic episode for Gotham. I mean, everything was building up, and then it kind of it didn't go down, it just leveled off. So I'm hoping that these next 2 or 3 episodes that we have do bring us a little bit more excitement. Again, they casted 2 huge villains for this upcoming Rise of the Villains, probably most likely part 2. They casted Mr. Freeze, not Arnold Schwarzenegger, thank God, and they casted Doctor Strange, Dr. Hugo Strange. For those of you who read the comics, Dr. Hugo Strange is one of like the original villains of Batman and of the Batman series, and knows the true identity of Batman. Yeah, that's right. Dr. Hugo Strange is in the know. But I'm excited to see. And again, I think they're tied into Indian Hill, where we saw them take Firefly after was it after last week's episode, or it was like 2 weeks after 2 weeks after the episode 2 weeks ago at the end, we saw Indian Hills, an entity of Wayne Enterprise, which leads me to believe that's where we're going to see Dr. Hugo Strange and Mr. Freeze, who is also a doctor of sorts. So that was Gotham.